Hey guys, I'm learning TFT and I'm sharing my learnings with you so that you can learn better and I can learn more effectively as well. In this video, I'm going to go through how to play Vayne Senna Reroll. This will be a coaching session between Marcel P and I, which I will show after I do a brief intro into kind of high level theory about how to approach Vayne Reroll, what the board looks like, how to itemize, what augments you want, and what are the conditions that need to be met in order to play Vayne Reroll. So this is the board here at level 7. You ideally want a 3-star Vayne, Senna, and Jarvan. That's your win condition, plus a Z2. So 3 carries means that you're going to have a lot of items. And one of the points that Marcel mentioned is typically you want to prioritize having at least 2, if not 3, full carry items, which means tank items kind of are a lower priority. So another key condition is that you really need Rageblade components for Vayne, because Vayne's going to carry your stage 3. And for this board, you ideally want to roll down on 3 to hit your 2-star Vayne and 2-star frontline so that you can be stable in stage 3 and have enough HP and gold to be able to push 7 and slow roll for all 3 stars here and Z as well. So bow opener usually makes a lot of sense. Lost streak at least the first 3 rounds, so 2-1, 2-2, 2-3 makes a lot of sense because bow is so contested with Rageblade, Zeri, Rageblade TF, Rageblade Vayne being so popular. Another thing I want to mention is that you can flex between, I talk about this in my meta analysis that I put together, but because double Rageblade is so consistent and you can double Rageblade Zeri with like one of the Exotech items is so common, you can basically flex between these. So you don't want to play reroll contested. So if you're trying to play Vayne and you see someone else has a better spot than you, then you can switch to TF. And if someone's playing each of these, then you can just switch to Zeri. So it's very flexible. But the problem with that is that bows are going to be super contested, which means that unless you have like Pandora's items or component buffet or replication, which are all pretty strong augments to enable this comp, you might want to consider lose streaking at least the first 3 rounds so you get item priority on carousel. You want to win, ideally you want to win stage 2 with this board, starting 2-5, but especially stage 3 after 3-2 where you do a roll down. Category 5 is extremely good on Vayne, and the reason for that is if we look at Vayne's ability, rapidly fire 3 attacks, and each of those attacks can proc Runon's Hurricane, because each of them will fire an additional bolt at another enemy. So you get a bunch of, if you get category 5, you probably want to build Rageblade with double Runons, and he kind of goes insane. So this is like a S+ augment for him. Rolling strategy wise, I've seen players do a little bit of both. Really depends. At the very least, you want to hit Vayne 2 on level 6 and have a stable Vanguard frontline because you have the scaling from the Rageblade. Even if you don't necessarily have tank items, at least having 2-star tanks in the early game makes a big difference. So something like this, at least for stage 2, and then you can throw in like Skarner, you can throw in Rost, right? Like there's a bunch of Vanguards that you can throw in. And then depending on how many Vaynes you have on your 3-2 roll down, and once you get to 3-5, you can kind of decide, do you want to keep slow rolling at level 6 if you're close to hitting Vayne 3? Or if you hit a bunch of Senna's on your 3-2 roll down, then you can go 7 and kind of slow roll for both of them at level 7. So I've also seen Dish Soap just like roll out 6 because he was closer to hitting Vayne 3. So you kind of, it has to be quite situational and dependent on how much HP you have as well. So Gray also talked about how he likes to be more aggressive on level 6 to win stage 3. Item-wise, Senna wants a lot of AD, so Deathblade and GS are also good on Senna. And in the coaching session, Marcel explains why Senna's itemization wants to be more heavily AD focused, especially like Deathblade. So that'll be a kind of teaser into a big insight I learned about how AD scaling works for those champions. All right, and then at level 8, if you have a +1 Slayer or Vanguard, then you can basically add in one more of each of those traits to get 6 Slayer or 6 Vanguard. Otherwise, you just have a flex spot, which typically means a Divinicore or a 5 cost. And then at level 9, you can add in 2 Vanguard or 2 Slayer or just 5 cost as well. Adding in Garen can be quite useful because you have 3 hyper carries. So if you can get mods on them, that can be quite strong as well. Augment wise, pumping up is good because you have the Rage Blade for Vayne. Pandora's items helps you get the components you need. Same with component buffet. Category 5 we already talked about. All that shimmers is super interesting because it can let you get a Gambler's Blade. And in this game that I play, that I do the coaching session with Marcel, I took Shimmer Scale Essence, which does give you the Gambler's Blade, but it's delayed. And so I do generate a bunch of gold because every time Vayne casts his ability, the rapidly fire 3 attacks, he also has the chance to proc the Gambler's Blade. So he can generate a ton of gold for you, but that's still better if you have a Vayne out of the box on stage 2-1, especially if you have a Rage Blade Slam. That's insane. That's like last set 13 Kog'Maw. If you had a Kog'Maw with Rage Blade and Gambler's Blade, you just like almost instantly win the game. Although I've also seen last set situations where you can reroll Kog'Maw with that setup, or you could just push Fast 9 because you have so much gold. Shop Glitch, because it lets you reroll really easily. Long Distance Pals, because you have so much AD that you can share between Vayne and Senna, and Senna's base AD is like the highest in the game, higher than any 4 or 5 cost as well. And especially if you build like Deathblade on Senna, then Vayne gets so much more AD, especially if the God setup would be if you have like category 5, because category 5, the extra bolt also scales off of AD. So if you have Rage Blade, double Runons, and then Senna has like Deathblade, that damage output just sounds insane. Replication for the bows, Overheal quite strong to just give survivability and extra damage for Vayne. Anytime you have Rage Blade users is pretty good, and then pumping up as well. Rig Shot Plus if you are leaning more towards the Senna direction, and Jarvan. Fast Cannon, basically all of these pretty standard. Bulky Buddies, because having a little bit more survivability can be good. And you're shooting for a bunch of 3 stars, so that just scales the HP better. And this is especially good on item portals with component anvils and with early Vayne, but the component anvils we already talked about last set in my world's learnings from Dish Soap. He specifically called out that anytime you have item portals, especially with the component anvils, you want to lean towards reroll. The anvils give you a lot of flexibility to hit those bows, so it just enables this comp a lot better without having to rely on getting stuff like Pandora's items or component buffet, and without having to worry too much about sacking your early game to get item priority on carousel. And I already talked about how, as a backup, you can lean towards this TF reroll line with your double Rage Blade if your Vayne is contested. So, with that said, I hope you found this introduction to Vayne helpful. I'm going to now transition over to the Marcel P coaching session with me and him, and where we'll dive in a lot deeper as far as how to play the nuances of this game. And generally, part of the reason why I share these is that it helps you get a better understanding into the learning process, how to think more proactively about the game and improve your play at a more fundamental level, as opposed to a lot of the videos I see on YouTube are more focused on high level meta, like how to play this comp, but it skips a lot of the all the intermediate steps in between that are arguably more important to improving your play if you truly want to get better at TFT. So with that said, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy this video with Marcel, and I'll see you in the next one. I got Shimmer, whatever essence. I was thinking Vayne, at least in the stats, is best with it. TF like looks good too, but Vayne procs the gamblers a lot more. Does that seem like a reasonable game plan around this one?
I actually haven't played this around. I haven't played this around Vayne though. You played this. Oh wait, you didn't play this into. Oh, I guess you had both.
I mean, I
TF and
eventually got into Vayne here.
what was the reason? What was, out of curiosity, what was the reason you play this into Vayne and not TF? Oh, I guess without the gunblade, maybe this is better. But
I mean, I could have
yeah,
probably prioed the Gunblade, but the stats for Gambler's Blade Vayne is better than it is for TF because he
than TF.
procs the thing with his ability.
But what about the stats on having a moguls? I feel like mogul sounds way better for the front line you have with Darius and with the TF. I
Oh,
feel
that's
like
true. I
TF
didn't look at
frontline.
that.
The TF frontline sounds way better to me. Like, yeah, I guess if you're just looking at gamblers, but I feel like having frontline because typically you don't even want this moguls in this line.
Yeah,
Here,
usually you just want to
you
like
typically want.
reforge it. Right?
Well, not really. You want to play TF. I feel like you just take TF. You just play TF because I feel like this item is so good. Both items are good for TF.
I mean, moguls. I'm just looking at meta TFT for the comp page, so I don't know if this is perfect, but 4.2 on the Vayne line and 4.1 on the TF line.
Oh, is it looking acceptable? I guess I have a hard time believing that you're happy having this line.
Gambler on the Vayne line is 3.8 and TF is 3.8. So I guess it's about the same.
Yeah, I guess if you naturaled more of the units or Vayne, I can see it. But
Although I guess TF seems like it. Well, actually, Vayne has a higher win rate than TF.
TF feels that's surprising to me. I feel like TF is so good.
TF has looked super good in my games too.
I feel like your cap is higher because MF2 with items is a more reliable way to cap higher in my mind than Senna 3 or Z2. I feel like it just does more.
I think the Vayne with Gambler's Blade just generates so much more gold. Like there were some rounds I was generating like 10 gold. It's
Oh,
like
I can see
insane.
it. You procced it on non-ult, but I don't think that TF still procs a lot of gold as well. But I mean, see what you're saying. That Vayne is just like so busted with it potentially.
But the problem was later in the game I like couldn't deal damage because like I
There's no
want a
Runons.
Runons instead.
Yeah. I think I would imagine best items for Vayne with this item is Rage Blade or single Rage Gamblers and Runans. I would guess.
I looked at the stats for it and the double Rage Blade was significantly better, but I don't know. Maybe that's just because you're using that as gold generation, but late game I should probably be swapping it off.
That's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Runans looking better. I'm seeing this. I'm just doing Vayne 3 item. Maybe on 3-star, but then I feel like the sample size probably goes down. But what is our
Let's
rank
see.
filter here? Oh, okay. It actually changed on 3-star. I wonder why. On 3-star, it changed a bit. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing your double rage rate look
Although the
slightly better
sample
than
size is so small.
Brunans. Yeah, I feel like for stuff like this, I would be surprised. Like just in terms of you're all single target if you're double rage blade, which is kind of
Yeah.
hard.
Which in the late game that was actually fight diff like multiple times.
Yeah, you're just not hitting. You struggle to get through
And I
everything.
think ideally you just want to move the Gambler's Blade off of Vayne as well. Like just go double Rage Blade Runons in the late game when you have enough gold, then you don't need gold gen anymore.
Uh, is that? I guess
Okay,
I would
well
still
maybe I
imagine that had
show
to
you
be.
this fight. Like this is the fight that I lost the game in, which is the Aphelios, right? Like
Oh, I guess when you're zero gold, then yeah, I can see moving gamblers off because they look with a lot of gold. There still is a lot of AS, but
yeah, like I get so close to killing off this Aphelios multiple times, but he heals back up. And if Vayne had Runons
Runans,
here, he
yeah,
would have died.
oh yeah. Especially with when you have good Zed items, the Vayne Runans really makes a diff.
Okay, so then second question here: would you take? Do you value implants or bulk? I assume implants for more damage because I don't have.
Yeah, I like implants better
Okay,
here.
yeah. For some reason, I took bulk, and in hindsight, I was just not dealing enough damage. It felt like the double runons was just like tickling the enemy.
I think the issue here really is your 3 dead items. You're like you're even. I mean, even though it's not dead, but like your tank items, like you're forced to J. You're almost like forced to J4 3 or Leona 2, which is
Yeah,
like not happening in most games. I just feel like we played the wrong line here with this augment.
like you would prefer TF.
Well, not even like with this augment, or more so like the fact that you have all of these resistance components. Like at the point that you had a declaw, you should have already um thought this is more TF. You even have the TF, right? When did you have the declaw? Yeah, if you have a declaw by stage 3, but 3-1. Oh, here, yeah. At the point that but you have declaw here, so you already had it stage 2.
Why do you like decall out better on the TF line? Does bruisers
Oh,
benefit
because
more from it?
TF, you're extremely happy to have you must have a frontliner in TF, right? Like in Vayne, you don't really make frontline items. Vayne is you typically go 3-item Vayne, 3-item Senna, 3-item Zed, and
Oh,
unless you're going like who even your tank is J4, like you're not really happy with the tank, right? I guess if you're okay. If you're Skarner 3, then yeah. If you're Skarner, yes. Okay. If you're doing like the Vanguard version, then yeah, then you can
yeah.
with
The main
Skarner.
problem was I was actually really close to hitting someone 3, and I had to sell because I was bench locked. I forget who it was.
But I feel like this board is so much better when I'm all damage.
I see.
Because like here now it's on J4 and J4 is so mid.
Yeah.
Unless if you're J4 3, then yeah, but like
And would you radiant the Rage Blade on Varus or not Varus, Vayne instead of
I
the
don't
Edge
think
of
so.
Night?
I think Radiant Edge is good because
Okay.
you already have so much AS.
I mean, Leona too with these items isn't bad, right?
How often are we hitting the only two ones? The fact that you're making these items early and then it's just so far to get to like for example, you make these items in TF, you're gonna hit your Braum 2 or your at the very worst case your Darius 2 at what point? It's like stage 3, right? Whereas and so you're already getting insane value out of those items really early.
Okay. So typically for this line, Cryo, Vayne, Senna, red items, no tank items. This is kind of like enforcers from last set.
Sort of, yeah. I think it really becomes the case when you have like Runan's augment because then you just want to make all your cloaks want to be Runan's.
Hmm.
I don't think that it's unplayable if you're all frontline. I'm just thinking more so that if you do have frontline, Like it's playable in this line, but like you may as well play the TF line. I think I still view TF as a better line than this.
Yeah,
I just think TF is just it's just such a broken unit compared to Vayne. Vayne is not bad, but TF has like
yeah. At least TF gets scaling damage with the Runa or with the Rage Blade because you're down an item slot with the Gamblers.
yeah,
Whereas,
the AP scaling makes it a unit so insane. It doesn't feel like a 2 cost. It feels like a at least a 3.
yeah, okay. I was
And the
just
fact that you can get
surprised
MF.
that like I got an eighth in this game. I was like, how is this so bad?
I think it's just you're down a prismatic because you have your dead moguls. Your dead
Yeah,
moguls and your decoy is also like I think that's a big part of it. And then bulk is also like a lot of your bulk value is 3 items on a vein that doesn't really do anything.
okay. So if this was
I
instead
feel
of
like
three item tank, it was 3 item Senna with a 3-star Senna and 2-star Zed, like that maybe would have been performed a lot better.
yeah, also augments. I don't know what your picks were on last augment,
Yeah, it
but
was not great.
yeah. Mm, let me look at your current board here.
Like I only have one carry, so it's like calculated enhancement seems kind of rough.
You're only 3 veins, right? You're only
Yeah,
3 veins. Oh, I think it's swords here.
for Senna.
Yeah. I think it's swords you just triple itemize Senna. DB is so busted on Senna. Like instead of just yeah, it's a big difference between radiant item gives you one component.
Mhm.
You basically go from dual carry to trio carry instantly with sword overflow. And I think it solves a lot of your DPS issues. I think Senna isn't DB like easily the best item on this unit. Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Because her base AD is so insane, right? Yeah, it's like
Aren't
with
there diminishing
reasonable.
returns if her base AD is already high? Oh yeah, Death Belly looks really good.
Wait, it's not diminished. It's the opposite, right? Your base AD being high, AD stats multiply your base AD, right?
Oh, it's a plus 55. Wait, it multiplies by 55% or 1.55?
All AD multiplies your base AD, right? There's no flat AD anymore in TFT.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah,
never
there's
understood
no.
that. I always thought it was like plus 0.55.
Oh yeah, that's actually really important. Yeah. AD in TFT for a long time now, so maybe set 6 is my guess. Is there's no such thing as flat AD. AD is all based on your base AD, and Senna has like historically high base AD.
Is AP the same? Is Death Cap the same logic?
Yeah, it's all just multipliers. Yeah, there's no flat damage.
Hmm.
There's like the few sources of flat damage are like Boombot, um, Bruiser Emblem. They're very few. Everything else is basically multipliers off of base. And AP, everyone's base is the thing with AP is everyone's base is 100. Whereas with AD, everyone's base is different.
Oh, the base
Yeah.
ADs are always lower. But then wouldn't that make
Um,
AP more? Also, when I look at Rabadon's Death Cap, like it doesn't show a percent next to the number, whereas AD
there's,
shows a percent
the
next to
thing
the.
is, AP, everyone's base AP is 100, but there's another multiplier in everyone's AP, which is they have their own AP scaling on their spell, right?
Right.
That's the thing, which is really what your AP scaling is. So it's not really 100. 100 is just like, it's just there to make the multiplier clear, but your, and then when you stack AP, but everyone's AP scaling is based on their spell. So effectively, everyone still has like, it just really depends on how broken AP scaling is on unit spells to determine if AD or AP is more value. But if you look at where can we find like a table of stat table? Here we go. If you look at stat table in AD, this is how you would know. I've known this since like PvE. when they buffed Senna AD and her AS is so abysmal.
Can you share your
Uh,
screen with me?
yeah, one sec. Share screen. Second. Can you see my screen now?
Mm-hmm.
Senna has the highest base AD in the game. Over a Garen, over a Nekton, over a Zer. And it's like by a lot. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
85. And so she's the best DB holder. And also her AS is so bad, right? The whole reason they allow her AD to be so high is her AS is so bad. With her AS being so bad, she never casts. That means her damage is all from her autos. When your damage is all from your autos, that means your best items are going to be DB and Brunans. Right?
Okay, which
And
makes Sword Overflow like basically the perfect augment for Senna, because she also
yeah,
gains attack speed from it.
yeah, you can just well, I will say attack speed does basically nothing on this unit because her base AS is now really low, right? And when base AS is low, you're multiplying your attack speed with this. So AS is basically doing nothing. And that's why if you look at this unit's Runa, like red buff, Ginsu's, it's awful. If you look at IE and Shojin, it's going to be pretty bad as well. IE because she's not casting that much, and then Shojin, where's Shojin here? Yeah, pretty bad as well, right? Compared to DB and Runans.
Wait, so attack speed is also multiplicative, not additive?
Yes.
Just everything is okay.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah. It
confusing.
multiplies your the ASCF here. Yeah.
Okay, so my mental model is completely inverted. I thought it was diminishing returns, but it's actually the opposite.
Well, like so it's not diminishing returns with respect to like giving AD to a unit that has high base AD. So I think it's important to distinguish base AD and base AS versus overall AD and overall AS, right? When a unit already has a lot of overall AD, then stacking more AD is diminishing returns,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when a unit has high base AD, or then giving more AD to that unit is good. AD like items. Does that are you sort of getting the distinguishing the difference between those?
I mean, kind of, because you can argue that, like, what was Senna's base AD again? It was like 85 or something.
85. Mhm.
Like, if Zeri, let's say, gets a DB, how much does a DB give? It's like
55. So it's 65 multiplied by
Okay, I
55.
found this
That's
on
like
the
it's
web
like
for how much does a DB. Check it out.
God, every time I say Zeri, it triggers my iPhone.
oh, your Siri. Oh, that's too funny. Time to switch to Google, buddy. Pixel, no edge.
Yeah.
65. Yes, it's giving you like 37 AD or so. I don't know. Yeah, like 37 AD, 55, right? Whereas with Senna, it's giving you like 40 more than 45.
And then let's say you have a second DB on Zeri after the first one. Is it multiplying it on the base or is it multiplying on the
It's
total?
always the base. It's always the
Oh,
base.
it's always on the base. Oh, I didn't know
It's
that
always on
either.
the base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now I get it.
Yeah. Everything is multiplier off of base.
Oh, that
And
is
then
not intuitive.
and sorry, everything that is AD is the multiplier off the base.
What?
But then your crit and your amp is a multiplier over your overall everything.
Huh? Okay.
Right? I think so. Yeah, I think it's a multiplier over your not your everything. It's a multiplier over your total AD, your total AD. So you have base AD, and then multiplied AD gives you a higher number, and then your crit and amp is multiplied off of that.
Okay. But when you, so let's say your base crit is like, I don't know, let's say for executioners, you're at, let's just say 50% crit.
Mhm.
If you throw in a IE, which I forget how much, it's like 30% additional crit, right? It goes from 50 to 80, right? Not 1.3x 50.
Yeah.
Okay, so crit is additive then in that sense, whereas AD is a percent off your base.
Yes. Yes.
Why do they have so inconsistent rules? It's very confusing.
Yeah, it makes it. One of the top Darth Nub has like a DPS calculator that he just coded up, and then like if he ever has just questions that he just did once, uh, I think he maintains it very. I don't know who he shares it with, but I've heard of this, and he just uses this to like make any decisions on DPS.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, and so I think that sword augment would be pretty good in your spot because then you go from because you're on 7. In fact, I'm pretty sure you roll a bunch of gold here. You're more likely to hit Senna 3 than Vayne 3. So you are oh, how is our HP so low, by the way? I'm surprised by your
Yeah,
HP.
I rolled down to 10 on 3-2. I don't know what happened this game. Everyone was high rolling or something. Like I rolled down to 10 here. I guess I like low rolled and I didn't play my Skarner, which was fight diff for this round, but like
Oh, you face a really strong board here. You roll and lose. Damn.
I mean I basically expected I should be able to regenerate a lot of the gold, but like I kept on loot. I think I lost like almost every
Oh,
fight.
and this Lucky Gloves birthday present.
Thanks
Yeah.
to I
Yeah,
lost
that's
every
the other
fight
thing.
except the
I
last.
feel like the TF board is, I don't know if the TF board would win these fights, but the TF, wow, this guy's also strong. The TF board is stronger than this board in my mind
Like you think if just
on
with same items TF I would have won more of these fights.
TF like never loses stage 3. Like
Yeah.
if you lose stage 3, you fought some insane boards.
Okay,
Stage
so
3, yeah.
I guess the difference here would be if I had a TF board, which I think I would for sure would have hit TF2 here as well, like on that same roll down. I would have maybe generated a little less gold from Gambler's Blade, but maybe I could have just made that same amount of gold up off of streaking and I would have way more HP.
I think so. Okay, these boards are very strong in the air fighting, like ridiculously strong, but I still think you would have won with
Yeah, and I
the
almost lost
TF.
this one too. I was like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, I don't think you'd have won all of them, but you would have done better, I think.
And what's your
Just
take
because
on my going 7 here? Because I was thinking if I got that Divinicore, I want to find Zed, and I'm so far. Plus, I'm going to generate a lot of gold, so I might as well just go 7. But it did delay me hitting my Vayne 3.
is this board better than the Force Slayer board? 'Cause I don't. Let me see. When you're if you're the thing is
I
it's hard
eventually got to
to.
Force Layer, but I just was looking for the Zed.
Oh, I see. Um,
Yeah, like once I found the Zed here, I got to Force Layer.
yeah, your Force Slayer. Yeah, you're playing this board. Yeah, I think it's fine. I typically go 7, but like it's just that your HP is so bad that it feels hard to like because going 7 means your spike is even later.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it also gives you Senna odds, right? So like, I think if we had taken the sword item, then I like it more. But without taking the sword augment, then and no Senna items, I'm not sure really. Because I feel like looking at your item situation, your spikes are not really Zed, right? Like if you go to 4-1, when you decide to yeah, go to 4-1. Um I don't think Z1 spikes you that much. Like your Z1 like, right now, your Z1 with one item, maybe two, right?
So I should just be going for like IE
I
Guard
think
Breaker on Senna here.
I think it's more so I look at this board and you ask yourself, how do you spike this board? And to me, it's like actually with on 3-7 before you've leveled. And I think the answer is you 3-star Skarner, 3-star Vayne. You must because otherwise there's no other spike. right? I'm looking at like because you must spike because you're HP. And what
Mhm.
is the fastest way to spike this board? I'm pretty sure it's Vayne 3, Skarner 3.
Do you
Because
roll the
two
0
items.
here?
Oh, I feel like you kind of have to because you're HP, right?
Yeah. I guess you should hit at least, if not Skarner 3, then Ross 3.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that it's scary because you have no copies,
Yeah.
but I feel like you kind of have to because more not even because it's an amazing game plan, because the game plan of spiking around a 1-star Zed with 2 items does not sound like a spike to me.
Mhm.
And I feel like if anything, that's because you had made that game plan around the Zed, it forced you to take an augment. Maybe it didn't, but like it made you take an augment to complete more items on the Zed.
So then, I guess the Minotaur emblem's still fine. I just shouldn't view that as me having to force an earlier Zed.
When did you make the Vayne emblem? Was it on 3-7 spat
I
drop?
think I
Or-
just made it.
Oh, you made it early.
Wait, when did I make it? Okay, right. I got a spat off carousel here.
Is that even good? I feel like I would have just held
Look at
off
what
and
my
played
board
6.
is.
I feel like 6 Slayer sounds way better. Oh, you don't have Reforger, I guess.
Yeah. Like, so then just take a Senna item.
The
I mean, I
thing
guess I
is,
can make Runons and DB if I just take a sword.
yeah, the thing
Here.
is taking this spot. Yeah, I would rather just make Senna item. Like the thing is, you kill a bow, and bow is the most important component in this comp because it gives you Runans, gives you which gives you Senna and Vayne items.
Okay, so the mistake was trying to play around Zed this game.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're just viewing this line as like you need better Senna items. You need to understand Senna itemization. Um, you I, is it man? I don't think of this line as like being very standard playing with like front line items. So I think my view of this line, I mean, you probably can play it this way, but I feel like this line I'd much prefer just playing it as a
But with double Rage Blade, like, what's your front line if you're not making tank items? Like, how are you surviving the fight long enough for your Vayne to scale?
I feel like you don't win this. Like I don't feel like you win Vayne fights with scaling infinitely. I feel like you just kill stuff ASAP because you have flat AD right, with Slayer. Like I think the double rage gives you a bunch of um AS very quickly anyway. She stacks it really fast, but you don't have built-in scaling like TF does, right? Like TF, you have really good reason to scale your double rage with TF, right?
So then
But if
this
you look at what
doesn't.
your trade gives you a bunch of flat AD, and like
Mhm.
with Slayer, and so you want to abuse that. I think.
So that means I really do have to have Runons. Like this setup right here does need tank items, but I guess the point is that Runons, you don't need to scale a ton of AS because the Vayne's ability is dealing a lot of damage output from that benefits from the
Yeah,
early attack speed.
that's how I view this line. I view this line as like Runans and like DPS, whereas I view the TF line as frontline, double rage frontline, like maybe
Okay.
one multiplier.
So then probably in the stats, the only reason this looks good is because it probably generates so much gold, assuming you hit ahead of tempo, that you probably 3-star like everything.
Yeah, that's what I would think. I think you can make this work if you 3-star like J4 and 3-star a bunch of stuff as well.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think in the future, if I get gamblers, I'm just gonna angle TF.
Yeah, I think that's a good game plan. I don't know what your other options were on Tua, but if you had a rage bet already, then I think Gamblers is good. But yeah, I would have just angled TF.
Yeah, I had a rage blade.
Oh, you didn't take left? How often are you not taking left? Okay, to be fair, middle here is like is pretty good, but what were your
And
options
I
on
have a
left?
duplicator, so I was like, Vayne and TF with middle seems just so strong. What was my before that?
Yeah, let me see. Okay, yeah. Oh, I don't think I would skip Exalted here. Exalted
Exalted.
sounds so broken
Wait,
with
worth the wait.
no, Exalted. After this one roll, you roll it once, you hit Exalted.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think this is skippable. You have a dupe, so you're guaranteed to you. It's plus 4 gold and dupe. You're like, if you think of this augment, like a lot of the power budget in this augment is that it's not so easy to hit your 3 stars, right? And so
mhm.
it gives you a lot of value, but it's hard to hit the 3 stars. But now because of hack, you're plus 4 gold and you have a dupe. I would think instantly that this is like SSS tier from this spot.
Hmm. Okay. I need to disable Spencer's tiers on my meta TFT set.
Oh, are you using those? Oh no, please do not use those. Those
I
things are
I think I usually turn them off by the middle of the set. But in the beginning of the set where I'm not like comfortable with everything, I usually keep it.
oh, yeah, I don't yeah, I would recommend not using them at all. But yeah.
Although I mean,
I would
I'm not solely acting on that, right? Because I chose Spencer rated B on
Oh
middle.
yeah, yeah, I know. I guess I understand that. I know a player of your level is definitely not like solely using that. It's just it can sway you for reasons that it could just subconsciously be like, well, if I don't know and you have like 2 seconds left,
Right.
you will randomly use any signal you have at that point. I would say just turn
Like
it
if
off so you don't.
Spencer had rated Exalted an S, I probably would have taken it over Shimmer.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like just ignore it. Just take it out so it's not even part of your decision making, and so you decide for with other reasons because
Yeah.
it can sway you, and I don't think enough. Well, I don't want to speak to. I mean, I already am speaking negatively of it, but like I would just recommend not. But if you just think about it, like, Exalted Adventure here is so busted with if you hit TF you or Vayne, you already won.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
And if you don't hit either of those, you can still make it work. Like you have Spark. I feel like there's you can still play Vayne from a lot of or TF from Darius, right? Darius, you just play TF anyway. You hit two
Yeah,
cost
there's so many of
Vanguard.
them. Like
You
pretty much all
Vayne,
the frontline 2 costs.
yeah, for Vayne or TF. I think you won the game instantly with Exalted Adventure here. Like you're playing for top 2
Yeah.
because you have
Skarner, Rost, Darius.
yeah Vayne TF. You have 5 hits out of and you're picking 3. You're
Even
guaranteed.
Alawi, like, because then you can still do Alawi in Bang.
It's not as good, I think, but you could probably make something work there. Yeah, you could hold it. I guess yeah, you could probably if you're like hitting Alawi with and Vayne and like, both of them, then you can play it
And
on
then you
your
just
board for a
sell it
while.
later.
Yeah, or you just play like some anima. Yeah, I could see it. I could see it actually. If you have both, then you can play 7 anima, 3-star both.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, in this meta right now where both Vayne and TF is viable, it seems like Exalted Adventure is just generally good, especially if you have a Rage Blade and Dupe. But yeah, I agree.
I think it has more to do with the fact that you have dupe and it's hacked. If it was not hacked and you did not have dupe, I don't rate this augment as being insane. I think it is okay. But plus 4 gold plus dupe is such an insane incentive to play
Mhm.
this line now. Yeah.
Okay.
Like plus 4 gold is such a massive diff. I was thinking of it as it's basically so there's iron assets, which is one anvil and plus 4 gold, right?
Yep.
And there's component buffet, which is plus 1 anvil, and all your remaining components turn into anvils, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means that 4 gold is essentially valued as giving all your future items as anvils on 2-1. Like it's just to put like in terms of an actual value what this 4 gold really represents on 2-1. It is insane value. 4 gold is like it's basically a silver augment, right? Because component buffet, most of the value is the rest of your augments, the rest of your items becoming anvils, right? And 4 gold is basically that.
Right.
that level of value.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta really pay more attention to the hacked incentive.
Yeah, I think it's easy to overvalue. Like, oh, I have rage bait, I have moguls, I'll get gamblers. Maybe if you got gamblers first, I can see this being more value. But like the thing is, I don't also as I think about it more, I don't think this is even that good because streamer scale because you're not even gonna scale your moguls at all stage 2.
Yeah. In hindsight, I realized that I was like, wait, where's my gamblers? I picked up the moguls and I was like, where's my gamblers play?
Yeah.
So really, when you take Shimmer Scale Essence, you want to prioritize tank slams first with a 2-star tank.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think just active decision making. So I just have noticed like across the board at every level myself, like I feel like I am usually pretty active about like I'll be given these options and I'll like think really thoroughly through the value of each of these things, like when I'm getting the moles, when I'm getting gamblers, as I'm saying this right now. At least that's what I think I would do if I was playing this game. But as I watch someone like Dish Soap take, I forget what the examples are now, but or even not even just Dish Soap, but the players make decisions that I would not make. It's typically because they're just doing more active decision making on the fly. They just read through the options very thoroughly, think about what it truly gives them, and then because like here I would say this is like the fact that you thought gamblers is gonna come now, like no flame. It's just a kind of lazy decision, which
Yeah.
is fine. Like we all play TFT at any given point in the day that we're not really guaranteed to be locked in, but like I think it's such a big difference being active in your decision making in that sense, and not just autopiloting decisions.
Yeah, makes sense. Gotta switch from system 2 to system 1 decision making more. Oh wait, no, it's inverted.
Oh, I haven't heard that. Was that like autopiloting versus like just actively
Yeah.
thinking logically on the fly? Yeah, yeah.
So
Like,
Daniel
I think
Kahneman
that
like did a bunch of research on it. It's like psychology stuff.
yeah, I think the way you're stating it sounds exactly like what I'm thinking, which is that yeah, I think really really good TFT players are doing a lot of on the fly thinking. In addition, they have both. They'll have a whole game plan, but they will not neglect on the fly thinking as well. Oh, I think an example I had was 25 HP Titanic Titans Dish Soap in Worlds. He took Titanic Titans on 3-2 in a game where he was not playing Fortune and he's not playing Chem Baron. And and he had took a really good placement, and his reasoning was that he did not need item prio anymore. And so he effectively used it as econ. Plus 25 HP. He already had all his items. I think it was maybe Anvil Portal or something. And so his logic was, and he even stated it as being pretty obvious, but it's like, yeah, I thought through it. I was like, well, I mean, plus 25 HP is basically it's lives, it's gold if you don't roll early, and I don't need items. So 25 HP is pretty good. And then for me, I was like, wow, these augment options are all terrible. But for him, he was like, I thought through it. This one looks pretty good. So I took this one. I was like, oh, if I autopilot decision there is Titanic Titans, you just always skip it, right? If you're not playing Chem Baron.
Yeah. Okay. I gotta slow down on Augment. I think part of it too is I've, especially for 4-2, been trying to speed up Augment decision making.
Oh, I think 4-2 it's fine too. Yeah, I think that there's much more reason to be slow, to be fast about 4-2.
Yeah. And then I think to some degree 2-1 as well, because a lot of times in the past I am too slow to decide, and then I don't put together like the right board stage 2.
Oh, I think 2-1 it's totally fine to be on the side of taking too long because I mean just think about it, like the cost of a life on stage 2 is not as big. Like yeah, you maybe lose a chance to streak, but like I've seen really good players. Like I've seen things as bad as taking things that give orbs like from with gold, like the one that give one, two, three, ones, twos, threes.
Mm-hmm.
Players like guaranteed better than me just by performance take that and not even pick up the orb because they had no time and they don't even make econ on 2-1. And like it looks so egregious, but it just goes to show that like making slow decisions on 2-1 is not even really punished that much. But I think making slow decisions, you'll never see that you'll rarely see that on 4-2, I think, because the cost of a life in 4-2 is so big.
Mhm.
The cost of a life when you're approaching 0 is so big. The cost of a life early game is nothing, because not nothing, but it's so low because you can play around the fact that you lost that life, right? Whereas you can't play around the fact that you're now 1 life. Like you're screwed.